Who was it?
It was no one, I swear.
You can swear all you like, Mr. Walker, but I will get to the truth. In here, we have all the time in the world.
Hey guys, Ryan and Greg here, and we are back. We're gonna break down some more episodes of American Horror Story Asylum.
Now make sure to stay with us and hit that subscribe button because we're going to try to break down the entire Asylum season.
That's right.
Before the new year.
Yeah, that's our little gift to you guys, because we love you guys so much.
And we need to eat.
That's true. All right, let's jump into episode 3. It is titled Nor'easter. Do you know what a nor'easter is?
And guess what? Northeast, weather, something, a storm, maybe?
That's because there is a huge storm in this episode.
There you go. Okay. All right, I got it.
There's a nor'easter storm approaching the entire eastern seaboard. The eye of the storm is expected to hit Friday night. Many areas have been evacuated, but if you're still at home, fill empty containers with clean drinking water and stay put. We'll bring you another update within the hour.
But first, we're back with the world's dumbest honeymooners.
Leo just keeps going. I thought he was done.
Yeah. I don't know how he could still be alive after all the punishment he took. He was like stabbed in the chest a few times last episode, and he still like thinks he can get out alive.
Now, we had a little confusion because you skipped ahead a few episodes.
I did, I'm sorry.
So I had no idea when you were saying like, oh no, he's still alive. I was like, no, last time I checked, I thought he was stabbed, done. No, and then this cold opening, same thing, he's back alive somehow, and it takes a bullet to finally bring him down.
Right, so we see two, I guess, imitators, right? Bloody-faced imitators who are just take pleasure in scaring the shit out of people. And one of them actually kills them. And then we see another bloody face show up.
Yes, and they all have very, very, very well done masks.
Yeah, what Halloween store are they picking these masks up at? I mean, they're probably custom. They make them at home.
Speaking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's the whole vibe I get from this character so far. Bloody face.
Yeah.
Obviously, the mask is supposed to play on that, but at the same time, where are they going with this character? What is it? Where are they taking this?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, from what I gathered from watching this, it was, you know, how infamous this murderer was, Bloodyface was, and
Yes.
I guess we haven't met Bloodyface yet.
If you have at least 3 copycats.
Right.
At least 3. One,
and
we don't know.
It's been years and years later, right?
Yeah.
So it's obviously in the local community, if not worldwide, or at least across the U.S., it's been big enough news that people are imitating. Now, we've been told that we already met Bloodyface with Kit Walker, but you and I don't really believe that's the case. So a crazy coincidence, we obviously see the nor'easter during the storm during this episode. It actually aired right around when Hurricane Sandy was on the Northeast as well. Remember, Hurricane Sandy was one of the deadliest and most destructive hurricanes of 2012, and it caused nearly $70 billion in damage. So pretty creepy how it aligned. It aired right around the same time as the Northeast was going under all this.
Yeah, when it comes to AHS, they tend to have a few episodes that line up a little too close to real life events.
It is pretty scary.
We got that with Colt too. It happens all the time. And speaking of that too, this is the first episode actually to drop on Halloween.
Yeah.
Episodes, was it seasons 7 and 8? Also did the same thing. But
Colt and Apocalypse, yeah.
This is the first time you're actually drops on it and you're like, okay, we're ready. It's working. It felt a little bit like it. I can a little Halloween vibe, but not too much.
I do enjoy the show when it does land on Halloween. It is made for that.
They
Apocalypse
need to make it happen all the time, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what day Halloween falls on. They got to drop it every year that way. I hope. I don't know. Make it like a Doctor Who thing.
Yeah.
Like even though they don't do Christmas anymore for Doctor Who, it's the New Year.
Right.
So maybe they just don't want to stick it to Halloween for. Try it.
There's a big storm heading our way, and when it hits, half of you are going to be too afraid to move.
So where we left off, obviously, Sister Mary Eunice, she's had a demon makeover.
Yes, she saw the light, or no, she saw the darkness, and went right in. I love it. I love the little content. At the time, you're like, oh, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I just enjoy her character so much, and just from this episode on to the end of her run on this show, it's really, really good.
So we initially see her small little changes in her character, right? Just like Starts wearing red lipstick, taking a sip of the wine, like small little things that you would be
Oh,
like.
it's not watered down at all. Yeah.
Small little things that like Sister Jude would notice and be like, what's going on with you?
Are you wearing lipstick? It's called Ravish Me Red.
Now remember, last episode we saw Dr. Arden offering her a candy apple in the forest garden, and you and I joked around like, the original sin, but it definitely was a little bit of foreshadowing that like she was going to make a major shift into the dark side, so to speak.
This feels a lot more subtle than what we saw in Apocalypse.
Yes.
How they hammered it in.
Yeah.
It's a little different now looking back years later. I liked it.
Now, Sister Mary Eunice also like tempts Dr. Arden, who has a weird, creepy relationship with her.
But of everyone there, he's like, no.
Yeah, hands off.
Yeah.
And then she literally kills the poor Spanish-speaking woman that is seemingly the only person that realizes that
She has a demon inside her.
Right.
Yes. Also, the titles, she's called the Mexican in
Right.
the episode, the entire thing, which I thought was strange. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And they never really come back to that either. Later on, it just goes back around to that. I was like, okay,
I found
sure.
I found it strange that she was the only one that realizes what's going on.
It's convenient because she can't speak English, so that's how they can help. She's the devil, and she can't do it, so
Right.
they kill her off. So Sister Eunice, or whatever we want to call the demon inside of her, Dark Eunice, whatever, she's playing games with everyone there. She's
Right.
starting to move stuff across the chessboard a little bit. She's already doing it with the newspaper that she leaves for Sister Jude. Dr. Arden, she's intrigued by what's going on with him right now. These little things, she's trying to put everyone against each other.
Right, and she knows all their deepest and darkest secrets.
Cool.
Something that they don't obviously want to tell anyone else. So for her to kind of cast doubt into each one of these characters, it's just starting a whole
Tiny little things, just a little seed in the back of their head.
Which is like
and
starting
walks
a
off.
whole storm, so to speak, that's gonna really just destroy the entire asylum.
And this leads to two things. One, Sister Jude gets that phone call from the girl she hit in the hit and run while
Don't
she was
answer that.
drunk. Yep. From there, she just immediately on a bender. She's back to drinking. And this leads to a great scene where Jessica Lange, in her monologues, of all monologues, and every season she's got to have a few. This one, she's just drunkenly walking down as Cecil B. DeMille's film's playing in the background. And was it You Never Walk Alone?
At the end of a storm is a golden sky and the bright silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind. Walk on through the rain. Though your dreams may be tossed and blown, walk on. Walk on with hope.
The whole thing, I'm just thinking, oh, here's the Emmy part. Here it comes.
She did an incredible job as she's, stammering through her monologue. Her
I mean that in
speech
a
to
great
everyone.
way, too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
here comes the Emmy in a good way.
Yeah. She did an incredible job as the storm is kind of surmounting outside the windows. And she's just stammering and trying to get through because, her whole reality has changed. She has no idea what's going on or what possession is going over. And she thinks she's going a bit mad, just casting doubt in herself the entire time.
The acting for this show, for every season, for AHS, there's always a level you got to get to where you don't want to go too far when you're hamming it up. You want to keep it in a little bit. And Jessica Lange, she's perfect at that.
Yeah.
She's really good at knowing not to go too far,
Yeah.
but to at least try something, experiment. I love it.
Funny enough, if you're a fan of Liverpool FC, before every home match, they actually play that song, You'll Never Walk Alone.
I had no idea that was them. I had no idea it was Liverpool. I've seen videos of that before in the past.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Tiny thing that you may not have noticed. You got to pay close attention to Mary when she's sitting down watching the movie.
Yes.
She's really waiting for those Christians to be eaten. These little things. We were like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
So the Nor'easter is actually serving to help Kit, Lana, and Grace escape from the asylum.
Yes.
We've seen this in numerous TV shows and movies. Use the storm outside to mount your escape. Yes,
The whole thing,
exactly.
yes. Every season, every show does this.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, they run into a bit of a problem outside the doors.
The Reapers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raspers.
Raspers. Oh, Raspers, not
Reapers, Raspers, whatever they're
Okay.
called. They're ugly and they're hungry, and you have to stay away from them. Obviously, their whole plan goes to hell because of this.
Oh, I see what you did there. Hey.
They,
Now, Shelly, let's not forget about her, because she does one for the team here. And
yeah, she does one for the team here. One way to put
a
it.
big one. And yeah, she's left behind, sadly. Seriously though, she took one for the team here. She managed to get them out, at least hopeful for their survival, knowing that, well, she's probably not going to make it out of this after Arden catches her.
Right.
Let's not forget about the alien that Sister Jude sees. Now, she's drunk, but obviously that we saw it too. It's an alien or something.
Yeah. I was pretty shocked when I saw this because, you thought the alien plot would not run into other characters.
bleeding over,
It's
yeah.
bleeding over into the asylum. I thought it was going to kind of live separately with Kit Walker's story outside of the
But
asylum.
that chip, so they're
But the chip,
following him.
so yeah, they make it ambiguous though. Is it the alcohol or is it actually really going down? Because there is the chip there in a jar in the in the lab. So I mean, the aliens do know where to locate their specimen. So the episode ends with two big things going down. Well, actually, one big thing, one small thing.
Ooh, Arden.
Don't you dare laugh at me.
What happened?
Shut up!
Did you have an accident?
Fuck you, Nazi doctor.
So it turns out that Dr. Arden has some secrets he wants to keep private.
We're slowly
so
chipping
to
away.
speak. And he basically punishes Shelley.
Yes, because
For-
his manlyhood has been
Yeah.
questioned.
His manly has been questioned. He doesn't condone of how she conducts herself and lives her life, and she's caught trying to escape.
Yeah.
So he cuts her legs off. That was quite the cliffhanger for episode 3.
It's good prosthetics too, because that was her little nubs moving back and forth too. It's pretty good. But like we make the joke that he keeps getting worse
and worse
every time you see him.
It's true.
Now, most valuable performance for this episode, we both agree, it's Lily Rabe.
Yeah, she does a phenomenal job with Sister Mary Eunice, and just to see the contrast between the earlier 2 episodes to now, and how she flips that switch and becomes like such full of confidence.
Kaiser Soze, Kaiser Soze thing.
She's just like full of confidence and extremely evil. And before she was just a shy, timid woman that was always controlled by others and taken advantage of and manipulated. Now
Stella
she's the one.
got her groove back.
Yeah, she got her
because
groove
of
back.
Satan. Also, for my favorite moment, I gotta go with Sister Eunice again when she informs everyone that they're gonna be watching Cecil B. DeMille's film. That line.
We're all going to be together in the dark, watching The Sign of the Cross, a movie full of fire, sex, and the death of Christians. What fun.
Yeah, I love that part. And my favorite moment actually is a part between her and Sister Jude when she first walks in with the lipstick on and the glass of wine.
I think it might be Spivey. I saw him sneaking out of the chapel. Taste it, sister. I'm sure it's been watered down.
You know I don't imbibe.
Oh, of course. How could I forget? Since 1949, when you had a calling from Jesus Christ our Lord, which inspired you to renounce alcohol and turn your back on all worldly pleasures. I'll taste it.
Okay, let's jump into episode 4 now. I Am Anne Frank, part
Part
1.
one, yeah.
So when this IMDb popped up, people were like, okay,
What's going on here?
all right.
Yeah. Well, basically, it centers around this new face in the asylum that we meet.
Uh-huh.
And she proclaims
So she's Anne Frank.
that she's Anne Frank,
Okay.
that she did not die in 1945. What do we think about how American Horror Story handles these historical figures? It's kind of they do their own twists to these
Yeah.
historical moments and events.
Like the Tarantino thing, kind
Yeah.
of Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah,
sort of
it's kind of the hypothetical and it kind of changes the history in a fictional
time.
story.
I think this is the first time they've done it for the show itself, the
Right.
entirety of the season, because they would continue to do this way more often in future seasons. And also, like Colt, they had an episode with Lena
Yep.
Dunham. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of twisting history when it comes to Hollywood and how they can, twist things to get rights to certain projects. Bohemian Rhapsody, I'm looking at you. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of stuff at all. So when you do it, I get it. You want to have a little bit of fun. That's the Tarantino aspect of it, where okay, this did not happen.
Yeah.
It's farcical. And then there are some times where they want to twist it a little too close, and it starts to become a little muddy. I don't like it.
One little small detail you'll notice when Anne Frank is writing her notes in the common room is that she addresses that to Kitty, which actually existed in Anne Frank's actual diaries as well. So they try to keep some legit historical facts in there, but then they're just twisting it like that she survived and that she's back.
When you do that, you make it worse, but sometimes. But all right, it's a fictional show. You know that going in.
Right.
It's about zombies and an alien abduction.
Not a documentary.
No. And a strange coincidence, she notices that Arden is the same guy from Auschwitz. So, okay. And she's right there.
She
she's correct.
recognizes him, so as soon as you realize that, then you're like, oh, maybe she's telling the truth. Maybe this is actually, she is who she says she is. Because he has some dark past that he's trying to keep covered and not let anyone find out about.
He gives her this line.
Never in Auschwitz. I'm from Scottsdale.
Liar!
So she claims that his name is actually Hans Gruber, that he was a doctor in the SS. And interesting enough, during those flashbacks, it was actually James Cromwell's son playing him in those black and white vintage shots of him during as a Nazi. But he did this weird Two-Face thing where he'd flip a coin to determine their fate.
Yeah, the whole thing. He's very nice, but no one still survived.
Right.
Anyone he took out of there.
He was nice to them, but then you never saw them once he took them to go work on them,
He's
which
a
is
monster.
exactly what he's doing in the asylum.
So we get some more details on Arden's experiments and how he's doing this. We're getting the vibe that he's gradually over time experimenting on everyone until he gets to a point where he wants them to live forever, but we don't know exactly what these Reapers are. Is it Reapers or is it Raspers? Yeah. Yes, I'm going to say that all the time. I'm going to keep saying Reapers. I don't know. It just happens. I'm sorry. GameSpot. Reapers, Gears of War. Boom. Now, speaking of Arden, we learn that he's gradually doing something with his experiments.
Yeah.
He now has a little vial. He has a little, he's got this down to a science for what he's doing to
Yeah,
this.
it looks like he's been spending quite a few years kind of trying to perfect, if you can perfect this and mutate
In the
humans.
eyeball. And it's like, oh, okay, let's just stick it right in their eye now.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So he's been working on patients and anyone in the asylum as his own little pet project, and then turning them into these monsters. Not a good look.
This is where I would have been like, where are we going with this part? Are they going to attack him? I actually do not remember how Arden goes out of this show.
Neither do I.
So that's kind of cool.
Do not tell us in the comments.
Don't spoil it.
Don't spoil it.
We will try not to spoil
We're not
anything.
spoiling it for
We're
you.
not spoiling it. Nope.
Don't spoil it for us.
Not giving away bloody
Please.
face. Please.
Do not spoil. Thank you. Now we learn a few more details about the Bloody Face murder investigation. Now apparently the victims were skinned and then had their heads removed, which happened at Kit Walker's home as well with the alien abduction. So,
Okay.
makes you think. There's clearly someone murdering these people, but
It doesn't
the
look
aliens,
like the aliens did anything to Alma. Maybe. Speaking of Kit, we learn a little bit about Grace.
Yep.
Just a little bit of her backstory. First, we find out that there was someone else in the house where her father and stepmother were killed.
Yeah.
Not the case. She confesses to Kit later on that it was actually she did it, and it was because of her father molesting her. And
Right.
her mom was just telling her.
Right, and I think it just goes on the theme of
You're not who you
everyone.
are. Yeah.
Everyone in this asylum is not who they say they are. Everyone's hiding a deep dark secret or something in their past that they don't want to bring to the surface. So you really can't trust anyone at face value right now.
Nope. Except Kit.
You're a fish out of water, Lana, gasping for life. It won't end well. Trust me.
Now, for some particular reason, Dr. Thredson takes a liking to
Lana.
Lana Winters
Yeah.
and wants to help her. But he says the only way to get her out of the asylum is to cure her. And back then, they thought that they needed to cure homosexuality. So his prognosis or his treatment is aversion therapy. And that's when you're exposing a patient to some discomfort while you're showing them other stimulus. And in this case, she's pictures of women and even
her partner,
her partner,
Wendy, yeah.
Wendy, which I thought was a very traumatizing and horrifying scene.
The whole scene, you're just like, oh, why is this? And then at that point too, you start to realize that Thredson may not be the character he says he is, or he has something going on here that you're like, okay, I can't trust anyone. Thredson also tries to befriend Kit too, as well. We can't forget about that. He's not trying to get him to confess or anything on the murders exactly, but he's trying to move him away from the alien storyline.
Right.
He's trying to push him away from that for now.
He's trying to make him believe that, hey, something else, there's a possibility that something else could have happened.
Maybe you didn't know.
Right. You were so overcome with
your rage,
with grief, with all these feelings that you might have blocked out what really happened. But the only way that he gets out of the asylum might be by changing his story, which is unfortunate with his not telling the truth. No one is going to believe the truth that he experienced.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. So he goes to talk to Sister Jude.
God forgives all who seek him.
Then help me. Please. Help me find God. I'll admit to everything that
My child. We're all sinners. Every one of us.
What the things I've done, sister.
That you can't recall.
Yeah, it's his sort of way of asking for forgiveness, for repentance. He's not totally on board that he committed the murders, that he committed especially Alma's murder, but he wants to be forgiven.
Yes, obviously. He didn't say, like, I did it, or anything like that, or maybe I did it yet, because if he did, then obviously Sister Jude would, all right, get the phone and go, all right, it's done, it's a wrap, and you can go arrest him now. And then that's the end of the show. And then finally in the episode, the Anne Frank, the woman who claims, she's Anne Frank, she discovers what Arden's up to. She's able to sneak out a gun from those dumb cops that, go by.
The worst, like I said last time, the worst cops.
The 60s.
Yeah.
What is in that room?
Go to hell.
Okay, most valuable performance for episode 4. I'm going with Thredson, just because last episode it was all Eunice who was moving pieces around the chessboard, and this one it felt a lot more like Dr. Thredson.
Yeah.
He was slowly moving people across the board his way. He had his own intentions for what he wanted to do. Yeah. You could start to tell at this point, if you're watching it live when it's happening in 2012, you have to think that something's up with Thredson.
That is a great one. My most valuable performance is Lana Winters. Sarah Paulson does an amazing job yet again. When she has her little daydream of what would happen if she exposed she blew off the lid of the asylum, what's really going on, and she's shouting out all the patients that she's come in touch with, giving that whole speech up there on the podium. And then the complete 180 and the utter horror that she goes through during the aversion therapy. Yeah. I think she just did an incredible job of showing her range as an actor.
One thing about this whole season, one of the reasons why I didn't, speaking of that scene and her describing all the characters in the room, in the mental institution, all I could think was this is probably one of the reasons why it wasn't on my top list, or at least when we did our top 5 at the time, because of mental illness and how Hollywood, depicts it a lot of times. So this one you had Rudy, the masturbator, the constant masturbator, and then you had the woman banging her head into the wall the entire episode. And I'm just thinking, it's, like, this stuff, it's hard to take a look because this stuff is very real and it's very scary in real life. So when Hollywood does this stuff like Ace Ventura, it's tough.
Totally.
So it takes me out of it.
Time now to talk about some favorite moments from the episode 4. Mine has to be, we talked about this earlier, but it's when Dr. Arden replies to the Anne Frank claim that he is Hans Gruber.
Never in Auschwitz. I'm from Scottsdale.
Liar!
Mine has to be the line that Sister Jude snuck into Grace and Kit right here.
You two are far too familiar. You're drawn to each other like the serpent and the apple. Are you purposely trying to make a murder baby?
It all comes full circle. Who wants an Asylum Apocalypse crossover?
Yes, I do.
How does that even work?
I have no idea. You have to go back in time and then forward in time. We'll ask Mallory. Guys, keep it here for all coverage of American Horror Story. We're gonna finish the entire season of Asylum before the new year. That's our gift to you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your love. We will see you soon.